Yes, we are recording. Hello, hello, good evening, and welcome to Friday's class. We are going to review some of the 8 limbs of yoga. So since we launched in January, we talked about what Max Wellness is and what we're going to be doing over the next few months. So then we'll dive into the 8 limbs. Last month was for the yamas, and this month of March, we've been talking about the niyamas and working them into all of our practices. And next month, in April, we will be already on the 3rd limb of the 8 limbs of yoga. And it's awesome asana for April. So that should be really exciting. So as we round out this month, I just wanted to do a quick review before we move on. So the 8 limbs of yoga, remember, are the yamas, the outer codes of conduct, the niyamas, the inner codes of conduct. Daddy's home, so she's going crazy. Asana, which are the poses. Pranayama is breath control. Pratyahara is the withdrawal from the senses. And dharana is concentration. The 7th limb is dhyana for meditation, and number 8 is samadhi or liberation. So I know I went over that really quickly, very fast. You can always go to erinmaxwellness.com to the website, and you can read some blogs there, little brief descriptions of the 8 limbs of yoga. And then as we dive deeper in each month, you can click each link in each blog to get a little preview of what we're going to start with for the month. So you can already click onto the yamas and the niyamas, and then the next blog for the asana will come next. So with the yamas, remember that from last month, that's how we conduct ourselves in the world. So, and with others. So again, that one has 5 virtues, which would be ahimsa for non-violence for yourself, towards others, to the environment, to animals, and everything in between. Satya is truthfulness, being honest within yourself, obviously, of course, with those around you. So it starts within, right? So if you can't be honest with yourself, how can you be honest with others? And no judgment. That's really the big takeaway from Satya. And Asteya, so steya, right, is the truthfulness. And asteya, anything with an A is going to be like a non, or it's just like in medical speak, anything with an A, it means without. So it's like cutting something off. So asteya is non-stealing. So again, not stealing from your energy, not being an energy sucker towards others, really being mindful on how you spend your energy, and how you take energy from others. Brahmacharya, which is celibacy or moderation, and it doesn't necessarily just mean celibate from sex. It also maybe means from abstaining from things that may not be really good for you, like alcohol or drugs, or whatever it may be that you are needing to possibly stay away from. And aparigarya is non-coveting. So letting go of what no longer serves you, and watching your thought patterns. And people get starstruck, or people get on, I know a lot of people go on social media and they just get really depressed and upset because they are coveting somebody else's life. And then it goes into this cycle of why not me? And, we don't need to do that, because all of us have the power within us to achieve anything that we want. So quick overview of the 8 limbs, what we'll continue to work with all the way up until September. And my hope is that we will be able to go to Bali by then and really hone it in and bring it all together. Yeah, my hope is that we get there sooner than later. And we know that this is something, our goal to look forward to. So now We're going to move on to the niyamas. And again, I'm going to kind of go a little bit quick. There's 5 virtues in the niyamas, which is saucha for cleanliness and purity. How you keep your body, mind, and spirit. So not just like your physical space, obviously that is part of it, but also what you are putting into your body, putting into your mind, your thoughts, and watching your hamster wheel of thoughts. Hang on, I gotta get this from Izzy. And then Santosha. I love Santosha. It's contentment. So finding your inner peace. So again, remember that the niyamas or niyamas are for our inner self, how we talk and treat ourselves. So, and then the tapas, we had a fun class with the tapas last week. Remember, we are looking for kind of like that Goldilocks place, right? So if something is rajasic and it has a lot of fire and a lot of heat and it's a little bit, you want to step it back on your hot sauce and maybe being in the heat and everything else, which is good. We also, remember we need the tapas, we need the fire, we need to have the energy to get a task done. And then, again, coming back to that sattvic state, sattva. So that's the Goldilocks area. And then, tamasic, if you have maybe been burning your fire so high, you've been so rajasic, you may then be like, oh, I'm so tired. Tamasic, I think of like a rotten tomato, it's just like, that super high to the super low, and then being able to balance yourself out into that, kind of like in our warrior pose, right? And so, in our warrior 2, this is the past behind us and this is the future in front of us, and we want to stay mindful on the in-between. So that's tapas. And now we are in Svadhyaya, which is another super fun one to say, and that is self-study. So anything with a yaya is going to be more of a self-study and reflecting, and again, letting go. So a lot of theme of letting go. So, and then I do want to touch on a little bit on isvar pranidhana. This one is a tongue twister for me. I've been practicing and still my tongue gets twisted. And so that's surrendering to the divine or to your true self, to your compass, your consciousness, and how you're viewing out into the world. So there is a little bit of a debate on what Patanjali, so remember he is our seer that we've been studying the 8 limbs. So he's the one that came up with the 8 limbs of yoga, I believe it's 3,000 years ago. So these are just kind of like, presets that he has set up for us as a guide to move along through what the Upanishads, which are the original yogis, the rishis that developed our philosophy / religion, yoga. So yoga, remember, is a philosophy versus a religion, although it does follow along with Hinduism and Buddhism and things like that, kind of depending on where you are in the world. Similar but different, right? So let's see, self-study for Svadhyaya, reflection, getting to know yourself, your ego, identifying when your ego comes into play, when you need the ego, and versus letting it, take the backseat a little bit. So really paying attention to your habits, to your behaviors, to your conditioning by your experiences that you've had in life. So really being able to let go. And I think Svadhyaya and Ishvar kind of work hand in hand together. So I'm kind of excited that we're talking about them together and winding out the rest of this month, because it is that surrendering and letting go. So she's out of her mind. let's get into any questions. Does anybody have any questions? I know that was really quick, but however, we have been going over it over the month. If you're following along either on the blogs or on the gram, on Instagram, Erin Max Wellness or erinmaxwellness.com. Subscribe to get your newsletter. Newsletter is coming out weekly, so we can kind of follow along to see what we're doing every week and when classes are going to be and any questions you may have. So with all of that being said, let's clear the space. If anyone doesn't have any questions, I like to find my little, whether it's a blanket or a towel or a sweatshirt that you can fold up nicely to get in a comfortable position. So we have roofers that are here. And so Izzy's finding all the debris that they didn't clean up. So let me grab this to get her settled a little bit so you're not hearing her chomp. And get in a cross-legged seated position for a few minutes of meditation just to absorb and take in everything that was just discussed, because I know that was a lot in a little bit of time. So again, pulling out the flesh from your sits bones to be able to sit up nice and tall. I'm actually going to switch my legs. And if this is not comfortable, you can always, let's see, I have a bright light in my face. You can always take cushions and bolsters to sit on. So, oh shoots. Don't feel like you have to sit in a cross-legged position if that doesn't feel good in your body. So there's always different alternatives, and why we like to sit versus laying down is just so we don't fall asleep. So you can always stack up and then put your feet behind this way, as long as you are stacking up each vertebrae at a time. Let me grab a towel because I spilled my water now. It's like an S show going on in here. I'm glad it's you guys. Okay. So I'm gonna take my glasses off. Aren't they fabulous though? I can see. So getting in your seated position, getting ready to let the day go. Maybe gently closing your eyes. You can have your palms down if you're feeling like you need to have some energy brought in. And of course, you can always have your palms up if you're feeling like you need to have some energy brought in. So listening to your body already, Svadhyaya. Listen to your body mind and what it needs, not what you think it needs, just what your body mind actually needs. And just sitting in this seated position with your eyes closed, maybe finding a mudra, or just having your palms open, whether it's face up or face down. Tucking your chin ever so slightly. And gently sighing the day away. And taking a moment to absorb all of the information that was just thrown at you again with the 8 limbs of yoga, the yamas and the niyamas, similar to the 10 commandments, if you will. And taking a moment to deepen your breath and just noting where you may feel any sticky points. And take a bright light, a ball of light, and send your body some extra light and love, in creating space, opening up to new possibilities, letting go of old patterns of habit. And taking peace and solace in taking the time to show up and be here and be fully present and open and willing to learn something new. And just let all of that go. And really be the seer today as we move along with some of our journaling questions that we will have coming up. And being able to take the time to go back and reflect on the things that you wrote, maybe any feelings that came up, any aha moments that may arise, and even the negative thoughts that simply pass by, and recognizing how you speak to yourself. And just remember, these are all measuring sticks. There is no judgment. There is no right or wrong. These are just lessons for us to learn. Remember that our samskaras, our patterns of habit, they come from previous lives. They come from our ancestors. And this is our time to look deep inside and change any of the vibrational cells of the energy, the mitochondria that is buzzing through the trillions of cells that are in your body that make you up, all the way down from your skin, your hair, your bones, your nails, your teeth, all of your organs, all of the fascial tissue. And how we speak to ourselves runs literally to our core. And this is why it's so important to speak highly of yourself and notice the fluctuations in your mind and the distractions that keep you from who you truly are and who you want to be. And know that you are exactly where you need to be right here and right now. And notice and thank all of the blessings, all the way down to the smallest details. Such as simply waking up in the morning, simply breathing, and when you're ready, gently bringing your hands to your heart center and just leaving a tiny little space in between the cups of your hands, pressing your fingertips to each other. And take a moment to thank yourself for showing up, being here, being fully present, sharing your gifts, sharing your life, your light. Remember that we are all reflections of one another. We're just mirrors. So again, that is why it is important to take inventory of those that you surround yourself with and their energies and their thoughts and how they make you feel, and if they are on your same vibration or not. And even if they aren't, it's okay. That's where they are, and this is where you are. And when you're ready, taking a nice big breath, inhaling and exhaling, releasing, letting it all go, gently letting your hands come back down to your lap, gently fluttering open your eyes. And just notice how you feel from when we began. So we'll go ahead and take our journals out. We have 3 questions. And I'm going to set a clock. I'm going to ask the question and I'll give us 2 minutes to, I'll give you 30 seconds to ponder the question, and then I'll give you another 1.5 to 2 minutes to be able to just free flow write, and don't feel like you have to be writing the entire time. I mean, this is a starting point. It's a jumping off point for you right now, and it's always here for you. So know that you can always come back to this place. So our first question in our self-study is Svadhyaya, and being able to then to release it with our isvar pranidhana, is how, here's your question: how have I been feeling lately and why? How have I been feeling lately and why? So I'll give you some time to think about it and write the question down. I find it always helpful to write the question down, and then you can start answering that way. You know what the heck you're talking about later. And be fully honest and with all of your emotions and all of your thoughts and your feelings. These we're just observing. We have about 1.5 minutes to go. About 30 more seconds. Fifteen more seconds. And just be sure to leave some room for later. If you feel like there's more that you want to continue with, and we'll go ahead and stop the time for now. And the next question is, when do I feel fully and truly authentic, vibrant, and alive? When do I fully feel truly authentic, vibrant, and alive? We'll put 2 minutes on the clock. When do I fully feel? When do I feel fully, truly authentic, vibrant, and alive? 45 more seconds. Fifteen more seconds. And time. And go ahead and finish up the last few sentences and leave some space for later or find a new page. Our last question before we go into our three shapes, into our three asanas for our restorative yoga, so we can reflect on everything that we've been working on, is how can I incorporate the things that make me feel truly authentic, vibrant, and alive into my daily routine? How can I incorporate the things that make me feel truly authentic, vibrant, and alive into my daily routine? How can I incorporate the things that make me feel truly authentic, vibrant, and alive into my daily routine? About 45 more seconds. Ten more seconds. And go ahead and close out the last thought or sentence. And go ahead and clear your space and just set all of that aside and just let it rest. You have now meditated for a little bit on it. We've written about it. We have taken in a lot of information in a short amount of time. So you may be feeling a little bit overwhelmed, and don't, because we have the resources to find out any other information we may need. I am always here for you. You can always send me a text. My dinger is off, so when I do pick up my phone, I can give you an answer back. And if I don't, just ping me again, because a lot of times I'm probably out doing some self-study or taking my dog out, then that is part of what actually makes me feel vibrant and alive. So we're going to go ahead and come into a child's pose, and we're going to be restorative here. So if you do need blankets, pillows, bolsters, blocks, straps, what have you, go ahead and do that here, because remember, in restorative, we are being super extra ooey gooey, being held by the earth. So we're going to be here for quite a bit of time. You can always put a block underneath your forehead, in between your third eye, lengthening out your arms nice and long in front of you. And feel free to let your elbows be relaxed onto the mat today, because we are restorative. So we want to be as super soft and gentle as we possibly can here. So child's pose. Again, you can always go into falling leaf and bring your arms back to your backside of your body if that feels better in your body today. You can always put blocks underneath your booty if your booty doesn't come all the way down towards your heels, or you can put pillows behind you or lots of blankets, just to give you a little bit of that prop up, so you can really let the earth cradle you as you're in this shape. So again, if you want, you can have your arms nice and long for child's pose, or to the back of your body for falling leaf. And just taking some breaths, releasing and letting everything go. And just absorbing everything that you learned today. Energetically sweeping it away, let it swirl around, and take a breath out and let it go. Maybe sigh it out. And I hope that our biggest takeaway from today is being super soft and gentle with ourselves, within our body and in our mind, our spirit and our soul. There is no judgment here. We're just observing. And know that you're doing it right. You are actually doing it right. Find peace and self-love. Just continue to let the earth's gravity let you sink and melt deeper into the earth and into your deeper fascial tissues that also hold memories. Remembering our fascial intrinsic tissues have its own vibration, its own memory, its own feeling. That goes all the way to the core. Deep into the bones and out through the flesh. We're well over halfway into this pose, so if there's any adjustments that you need to make, feel free to do that now. If you had your head turned to one side, be sure to turn it to the opposite direction to even it out. Just finding your breath and letting it go. Another name for this shape, if your arms are to the back, is embryo, which I think is very appropriate for the self-study and isvar pranidhana of surrendering for the rebirth. And when you're ready, gently and slowly coming up out of this pose, leaving your head to hang heavy. You can keep your eyes closed, or you can gently flutter them open. And we will come into dragon pose, which is a little bit of a stretch. So you can come onto all fours and bring your right leg forward. And take your right hand and wrap it behind if that feels good to you. You can always wrap it behind your leg or have it on the inside of your right foot, and then just lean your right knee out, letting your left leg be long behind you. And then you can always come down to your elbows if that feels good to you. So really opening up our hips, opening up our adductors all in one. You can always put something underneath your shin behind you on your long leg if that needs to be under your knee or your shin. You can always put pillows underneath you to prop you up if this is really intense and too much. So remembering we have a lot of tension in our hips, our adductors. So we're really looking deep here. You can pop, and I'm not sure if you can see how my foot is, it's like it's peeling open off of the floor because my knee is bent out here. I'm going to change positions so you can see. No. Let me move the camera down a little. Yeah. We're not going to stay here for very much longer, so just noticing where you're at in this feeling, in your body, in your mind. When you're ready, if you're on your elbows, you can come up and place your foot back onto the floor and go ahead and do what feels good in your body. If you need to stretch out your leg, sit down and shake it all out, give a shimmy shake, and prep to know that we're coming over to the other side. So I'm going to do my left leg. So I just did my right. Again, you can come onto all fours and just swing your left foot forward. I have my palm inside the left foot, right leg nice and long. You can stay up onto your palms, or if it feels good to you, you can always come down onto your forearms and bring pillows underneath. You can always peel your foot off the floor and let your knee drop out to the left side. Or keep your foot flat on the floor. Do what feels good in your body.
Listen to your body. This is a really, again, this is an intense shape, an intense pose for dragon. You might say this is a bit more Rajasic, right? So our child's pose was a little bit more sattvic. It's right in that Goldilocks. Just right. Not too much, not too little. Finding the inner prana, the life force, your breath. Really stretching and pushing your boundaries here as you let go. Let go in your mind, let go in your body, let go in your soul. Just settle in and be here, be fully present in this space, in this body, and know that every day is different. Some days are easier, some days are a little tougher, and some days just are just days. Just the ebb and flow in the cycle. Because how boring if everything just stayed the same all of the time. I think we've been living through that in this past year. This past year, we've been able to have a lot of self-study and what really is important, and letting go what no longer serves us, whether it's people, activities, food, the media, social media. We're well over halfway into this pose, into the shape. So finding any fidgets, any last things you need to do to stay here for the remaining time. Taking some breaths and breathing into the darker spaces. When you're ready, slowly and gently coming out of this shape, out of this pose. And you know me, I like to give shimmy shakes to give everything a break and a rest. And lengthen it all out. Here would be a great place for a block, if you have a block or a bolster or a pillow or anything, and especially your blanket or sweatshirt or towels or whatever you want to lay over you. We're going to do, this is called fish pose. We've done this before, laying on the block. So you want to find a block. You can either put one underneath your head and then into bra strap area. So right around the tips of your shoulder blades. So it's like the middle of the block is where the bra strap is, and the edge of the block would be like at the tips of your shoulder blades, your scapula. And just play around a little bit to see what feels good in your body. Maybe, sitting at our desk, we've been a little bit more hunchback. So, see what feels good, see what feels interesting, because it may be in a different position just because we have been sitting differently in our bodies. Not sitting at our proper desks, or sitting at a desk more, or laying on the couch more, or whatever it may be. And just coming down onto your blocks. And this will be our final shape, our final pose. And I'm going to give you the option to stay here for as long as you like after our time together. You can always have your arms down to your side, out perpendicular from your body, or even up at a 45. You can cactus your arms just to see what feels good and interesting. Again, remember, no shearing, no tearing, no pulling, no ouchies, just let the earth cradle you. And maybe take a few moments to go over the questions in your mind and see if anything new pops up, any aha moments that you may have. And you can always come back to your journal. Don't feel like you need to write them down now. Just go ahead and let the thoughts ping pong in and out and see what sticks. What you remember is what's truly important. The forefront. Sigh it all out. It's a great place for opening up our heart. Our hands are just extensions from our heart. We're opening up our third chakra into this is where our ego and our power source comes from. Grounding down into our second and first chakras, where we come from, where we were born from, and our sexuality and how we use our ego through our second and root chakra, letting it boil over through our third chakra into our bellies. If you let your head lay onto the floor and your neck comes back a little bit, opening up your fifth chakra, knowing when to speak and knowing when not to speak. Always speaking your truth. You can see how these chakras also go in alignment with our niyamas and yamas. Opening up our sixth chakra into our intuition, into our concentration, into our letting go, into our seventh chakra at the top of your head for samadhi, liberation. The full lotus, 1,000-petal lotus floating over our heads to infinite possibilities. The universe pouring down from above, literally pouring in from the top of our souls to the bottom of our feet. Feel free to stay here as long as you like. I'm going to seal and end our practice in this shape, in this pose. If you are so inclined, you can sit up and sit in your cross-legged position. Otherwise, place one hand on your heart and one hand on your belly and feel the love underneath your hands.
Feel this self-care, this self-love, feeling your breath, feeling your life force, your prana. It has been my pleasure, my honor, my gift to be able to share this time with you, to continue to pass on the teachings and learnings that I have learned from my yogis and from the rishis and Upanishads that have been passing this beautiful oral tradition down for the past 5,000 years. And again, remember our Panjali has been giving us this gift of the 8 limbs of yoga for the past 3,000 years. So really thanking our ancestors, and not just only our family ancestors, but we are all connected. So feeling the oneness and the strength and the power for all of those who have led the way, paved the way this beautiful day. Namaste. Thank you so much. I hope to see you again soon in the Zoom room. Have a great weekend. Happy day. Love you guys.